Good evening, everybody. Welcome to round 5 of our 1991 Formula One series, coming to you from Ile Notre Dame in Montreal. I'm Jason White. I will be your play-by-play announcer for this race. Our drivers are now in their pre-race warm-up session. Let me run down the top 10 for you in qualifying as time expired. Starting on the pole today will be Ray Radal in the Williams Renault with a time of 1 minute 0.185. Starting second is Grant Radal, only 0.3 of a second back. Third, David Saber. Fourth, Giovanni Santarami. Fifth, Anders Nilsson. Sixth, Cesarius Lipinski. Seventh, Richard Coxon. Eighth, Tim Hilla. Ninth, John Thiem. And 10th, Jules Bouchard. Those are your top 10 in qualifying heading into today's Canadian Grand Prix on Ile Notre Dame in Montreal.
And good evening, Jason and everybody.
Oh! Hey, there is Alberto. Alberto, really glad that you could join us this evening.
Yeah, sorry, just arrived, but as I see, perfectly in time for the start of the race.
Yes, indeed you are. So let's take a quick look at this course. So here we are on Ile Notre Dame. It's a man-made island just east of St. Helens Island and west of the St. Lawrence Seaway. I'm well familiar with the Montreal area because I'm a frequent visitor there. I love the town so much. And if any of you have never been to Montreal, I encourage you to go. The steakhouses alone are fantastic. Anyway, so this island has hosted the Canadian Grand Prix since 1978, but it was originally built for Expo 67 to celebrate Canada's centennial. After that, they added a long rowing and canoeing basin for the Montreal 1976 Summer Olympics. During much of the year, Ile Notre Dame serves as just a public park, not unlike Belle Isle in Detroit, where people can walk, they can run, bicycle. They can even try their luck at the casino, which is a building that consists of 2 former pavilions from Expo 67. But 1 week out of the year, the roads are cleared and the island becomes a racetrack for the Formula One World Championship. It's a very interesting track, very technical in nature, with a combination of tight turns and fast straights. This can lead to different strategies among the drivers in terms of the car setup. For example, some may choose to run low wings, making their cars skittish in the turns but faster on the straights. Other drivers may choose to run higher wings. That would of course sacrifice straightaway speed, but on the other hand, they have lots of grip in the corners. This is a track that could also be said to offer characteristics similar to a street circuit but also a road circuit. Some of the turns here offer a good amount of runoff room, so if you make a mistake, you can rejoin. But then there are other parts of the track, like the fast sections, where the walls are very, very close to the track. And a good example would be its section after the hairpin turns 14 and 15. You have to be absolutely precise through there, and if you're not, you could very easily hit the wall and be out of the race. So it is a very unique venue, and it requires a constant hustle from the competitors, offering very little time to rest during the lap. Our drivers will be hustling around this island for a total of 69 laps, or a little over 306 kilometers. And of course, the circuit is named after the late great Canadian F1 driver Gilles Villeneuve, who won the first race here in 1978. Alberto, what are your thoughts on this Circuit Gilles Villeneuve?
I think you described it very well. It's one of the classic tracks of the Formula One history.
Yeah.
And indeed, it's very much similar to street circuits in the bad parts of it. It's very unforgiving. I should also add to what you already said that it's also a quite narrow track. Mm-hmm. It's not easy to overtake here despite the high speeds. And there are like 1 or 2 very clear spots where everybody should be trying to overtake, but it's quite frustrating because if you miss them, it's very hard to overtake and you are basically boxed behind the other car for the rest of the lap. We shouldn't see many issues with the fuel here. All the cars should easily be able to cover the distance without having to really cut back too much. But the brakes, those are a very different story. The brakes could play a big role here because they get very, very hot. due to the very high speeds and the need to brake heavily for the hairpins and the slow corners. And it wouldn't surprise me much if we see at least some retirements that are caused due to basically blowing your front discs. Other than that, I think that it's going to be very important to see who is coming out at the start of the race in front, because as I said, when the cars are very close together, overtaking is not as easy as it would seem. Strategies in the setup, as you already described, can play a big role. And it's a track where it's not really that difficult to block the car behind you. So let's see what this race brings us.
Yeah, I'm really excited because the qualifying session gave a really clear indication of what we might see in the race. It was a straight-up duel between the Radals, but also Anders Nilsson, and those are the guys who are at the top of the points chart. Let's take a look at that points chart real quickly here. Driver points right now, Ray Radal is in the lead in the championship by only 2 points over Anders Nilsson, 24 points to 22. Giovanni Centorami is in third with 16 points. Richard Coxon in fourth with 13, and then Cezarius Lipinski is in fifth with 10 points. Very impressive, being that he's driving that Minardi, which is not the best car in the mod. The constructor points. Cannon Williams' team is now at the top with 25, and only 1 point back is Team 7-Up Jordan with 24 points. Braun Tyrrell Honda and Scuderia Italia are both tied for third at 16 points, and then you have the Minardi team bringing up fifth place at 11 points. So it's really, really close so far, and we're only 4 rounds in. This is the 5th round, but still very exciting parity at the top of the field, and it will make for very exciting racing.
Yeah, and probably the story for the last races is that Wright seems to be now really comfortable in the Williams. So I would guess that here, which is a circuit that really loves cars that have a lot of power, he should be shining a lot here. Let's see if he can negotiate the traffic, the lap cars, and defend his position properly. Because I think he's one of the prime candidates, if not the prime candidate to win this race.
All right. In 1 second here, I'm going to go to the track in a moment, and we're going to see if we can find somebody who can take us around here. About 5 minutes to go in the session, so we got time for a little bit of a tour of this circuit. See if there's anybody who's... Okay, here's Anders Nilsson, who's about ready to complete a lap in his Jordan. So this ought to work out well. No, it won't. He's going into the pits. Okay. Well, let's take a look at... This is...
Ray Radal.
Yeah, here's Ray. Yeah, let's try Ray. Let's see if he can... and he is. He's going to take us on a lap. So here we go. This is the start-finish straight. You drift a bit to the right, and then it's the Senna S here. I don't believe it was named after Senna at this point, but here is a left and then a right kind of hairpin combination heading up a small hill facing Montreal. You can see downtown Montreal there. Now a very quick right-left flick that takes you further into the island landscape. Accelerate to the right, and then you have to brake hard for this left-right combination. And you can see that there is space around these corners. Oh, goodness, Ray has spun out. Man. Well, let's see if we can get the thing righted again. No, he's going to escape. Okay, so... Well, here's one of the Brabhams finishing the lap about the same place. Now, here's a right-left combination that comes right after that. And this is the section that leads you to the hairpin, where it is probably the most opportune place to overtake and a very good place to lap cars if they're willing to be cooperative. This is, I believe, I'm not sure whose car this is, but in any case, heading now through the old start and finish area that was used back in the 80s. There goes Drexler by. This section here, turns 14 to 15, is very quick, and it's very easy to make a mistake here. And then we have our final chicane, which is admittedly not accurate to the actual one that was used in 1991, but this is the best version of Circuit Gilles Villeneuve we have, so we use it. So that was Mike Olson taking us on a ride there. Actually, Mike is according to my sheet, is a DNQ for this race. We'll see if he ends up in the grid. That's something that Juha has to sort out. But Anyway, some other things that we should point out. Coming up at ISO next Sunday, April 21st, it's another DHL International Race Day for the British Touring Cars, this time at Snetterton, which is a very, very old circuit, another one of these airport-based circuits, but should provide some interesting racing. I'm sure Dave Miller will probably have a stream running from his cockpit. This is round 5 of 13, and it will start at 2000 CEST. That's the first race. So if you're looking to take part, that's when you have to be on there. And then, hard to believe we're already talking about this, Alberto, but in a very short period of time, we're going to be heading to that beautiful rectangular oval in the state of Indiana, the Indianapolis 500 Time Trials, quali for round 3 of the Lucas Vidra Trophy, Sunday, May 5th. Check the forum for the start time. It's our big event of the year. Sometimes the viewership in the time trials is higher than the viewership for the race itself. It's our
I guess nothing can beat that kind of anxiety with
the drama associated
with being on the bubble.
With,
the drama there.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's always fun every year. Everybody gets 50. It's like 5 minutes of TV time qualifying for the race. It's just as nerve-wracking as it was and still is, really, in the modern day, even though it only covers 1 day or 2 days qualifying. In the modern IndyCar series, still drivers are overcome with anxiety there. Trivia question for you to ponder before we go into the race session itself here. The infamous Wall of Champions has seen many world champions crash out of the Canadian Grand Prix. What year did the Wall see Damon Hill, Michael Schumacher, and Jacques Villeneuve all crash out? Was it 1989? I'm sorry. A, 1998, B, 1999, or C, 2000? We'll have the answer later in the broadcast. All 3 of them crashed the Wall of Champions on a particular year there. So, looking ahead to this race, it was an incredible battle between Ray and Grant Riddall at the top to get the top spot. The real surprise in qualifying, though, Alberto, was David Saber in the Ferrari finishing 3rd on the grid. So it's going to be a very interesting start. Who do you think we should pay attention to in the early laps of the race?
Well, I think David qualifying so high in the Ferrari shouldn't be that much of a surprise because the Ferrari is a very powerful car, and this is, as we have said, a power track. So, like I say, there's one thing that we must always keep in mind, and that's Rai and Grant, obviously, despite being in different teams, they are father and son, and they should be somehow, to a certain extent, working together.
Yes.
So I think one of the keys of the race is if David can make a good start and slot in between them, or even be able to snatch the first position there. And in that case, he can control the race. Whereas in the other case, I guess that both Grant and Rai will not obviously fight against each other, and will instead cooperate to leave whoever is slowest behind, blocking a bit the opposition.
All right, so we're going to the race session now. 69 laps around Ile Notre Dame, and with Ray Riddall in the pole and the Williams Renault. We try very hard here at ISO to mimic history and be faithful to it, but I'm sure Ray Riddall does not want to be faithful to history in one particular fact, and that is that the car he drove almost won the race in 1991. Mansell was rounding the hairpin, and for reasons that are still debated to this day, the car stopped. There's been a lot of speculation as to why, lots of different stories. Who knows which one of them is true, but it handed the win to Nelson Piquet, his last Formula One victory of his career. And I was leaping off the couch at my parents' house back then when I was a kid. I couldn't believe what was going on. All right, cool. Everybody seems to be on the grid. So we're going to go through the grid here and take a look at everybody that is going to be taking part in this Canadian Grand Prix. I'll read off the DNQs after we go through the 26 that made it onto the grid. Always an exciting time here. Welcome to everybody on YouTube. All right, here we go. On the pole, Ray Riddall, Williams Renault, FW14. In second place is Grant Riddall, Delara Judd, D191. Third, David Saber in the Ferrari 642. Look for him to make a fantastic start. Fourth, Giovanni Centrami, the winner of the Monaco Grand Prix, in his Delara Judd D191. Fifth, Anders Nilsson, who is vying for the championship lead in his Jordan Ford. Sixth, Cesarius Slipinski, Minardi Ferrari M191. Seventh, Richard Coxon, Tyrrell Honda 020. His luck lately has not been very good. He's going to look to turn that around today. Eighth is Tim Hilla, driving the Minardi Ferrari M191. Ninth, John Team in the first of the Leighton House Ilmores. 10th is Jules Bouchard, Jordan Ford J191. 11th, Rubens Fernandez in the first of the Lotus Judds. 12th, Gabriel Del Piccolo, driving a LaRousse on this occasion. He hasn't done that yet this year. And the other LaRousse of Nicholas Kirsten starts 13th. Mikael Drexler starts 14th in Ricardo Patrese Williams Renault. 15th is Brian Janik, the Detroit Demon, in the Lotus Judd. He's had a few really good drives in this car so far. 16th, Juha Boss, Series Admin, Benetton Ford B191. 17th, Oscar Team, Leighton House Judd, Ilmore. And then we have 18th, Luciano Rocha. Surprising that he didn't have the same kind of form as his teammate. He has been quick in this Ferrari 642. 19th, Alan Santo, McLaren Honda. 20th, Bruno Chacon, Benetton Ford. 21st, Robin DeVos, AGS Ford. 22nd, Peter Hlavic in the Footwork Porsche. 23rd is Mike Olson. That's interesting. I didn't realize he was a DNQ on a list that I saw earlier.
Yeah, I think it's probably a fill-in.
Okay, I see. Is a Brabham Yamaha BT60Y driven by Martin Brundle. 24th, Francisco Amaral, McLaren Honda. 25th, Salvatore Sirignano in the other AGS. And rounding out the field is K.O. McKeels in the Fomet 1 Fon Metal Ford.
Just in time, right? Yep. Yes, Ray Riddall takes his position in the grid.
Yes, the DNQs for this race: Fernando Portiero, Gilles Toh, Simon Watman, Jonathan Asser-Clinth, Richard Wilkes, of all people, Claudio Augusto. I don't know why Richard's not on the grid. That's a very unusual situation. You wouldn't expect him to be a DNQ. In any case...
Yeah, he hasn't been feeling well lately. He had some kind of pain, so I hope he gets better soon, because it's obvious that this is not his fault.
All right, well, in any case, there's the flicker. Stand by for the start of the Canadian Grand Prix. And the race is underway. Oh my goodness, Ray makes a really bad start. And look at this, David Saber going through to second place. Yes, he does. Looking at Grant Riddall now leading. Saber is in second. Ray Riddall has dropped to third, making sure everybody gets through the first few turns okay, and it looks like they're going to be all right. Ray Riddall has retained the lead, but the big... Oh, Centorami! No, wait! Saber is in the lead now! David Saber somehow snaked through into the lead in his... No, it's Grant. Sorry, excuse me. Grant Riddall. I should have looked a little further forward. Grant Riddall.
Both red cars.
Both red cars, you're right. Grant is in the lead, and Saber made an absolute flyer of a start. The unfortunate start there was the one of Ray Riddall. He just did not get off the line fast enough, and he drops to third. Now, I don't think that's a harbinger of things to come. It's very... You want to get off the line good, but you don't want to damage your car in the process. You don't want to burn out the clutch. You don't want to have something go wrong rev-wise with the engine. So it may be that Ray was just playing it safe. But in any case, here they come now through the very fast section after the old pits. Centorami is in fourth place, Nilsson fifth, Team sixth, Cesarius Lipinski seventh, Coxon is eighth, Hill in ninth, and Ruben Fernandez in the Lotus is 10th.
Apparently a very clean start, although I have seen some moments ago Bruno Chacon, who was last and apparently heading for the pits.
Oh,
there
goodness.
is a repair sequence. Yeah, I don't know, maybe he suffered some small damage, and probably his pit crew is signaling pits because of that, but he basically has bypassed the pit entry, so maybe this is just a false alarm.
Well,
whatever the case, he must have had some kind of incident because he's 25th now.
Well, we'll have to keep close eye. So Grant continuing to lead now. He's leading by about 1 second now over David Saber. David has been quick in the Ferrari in the past, but he hasn't been able to really put that together into a race performance that chalks up points. We'll see what happens here as they head now down to the famous hairpin here at Ile Notre Dame. Grant Ridal first, Saber second. Ray Ridal is in third, not losing any ground here. Centurami fourth. Nilsson fifth. Team John is sixth. Schlapinski is in seventh. Coxon eighth. Tim Hilla is ninth. And Fernandez is 10th. Everybody seems to be driving very sensibly in these early laps, and you can see that last chicane we have there. Admittedly, again, it's not accurate to the actual race, but oh my goodness, Grant really four-wheel drifting his way through the corner there, and it looks like that might have slowed him up a bit. You can see that David Saber's gained a little bit of time there.
And this is probably the situation that both Ridals didn't want, which is to have David Saber slotted there in between.
No,
because for them the ideal thing would be that the second one, whoever is in the second position, would be blocking Dave at least for a bit. Because Grant is in the slowest car, and what he wants is, we have already seen that in many races, he just goes as quick as he can at the beginning. He opens a big gap and then manages it.
Yes.
But now he cannot do that because he has David Saber right on his tail. And in turn, he can slow down to help his father catch up with David and give him a chance to basically hamper David Saber's opportunities of overtaking because of having to defend. And he can do that because his strategy is to go as quick as possible, open a gap and manage it. So, yeah, like I said, David did a very clever move there, very opportunistic, and this is going to open the race a lot.
Riding on board now with David Saber, you can see Grant just ahead. Now we're going to go through this very inaccurate fast chicane at the Wall of Champions, and we're starting another lap, starting lap 4. I'm surprised he's not reeling in Grant on the fast sections.
Oh, Oscar Tim is out of the race. I can see damage on the front wing. He must have crashed somewhere.
It's too bad. Yeah, Oscar has had very bad luck on these starts. It seems like after a lap or two he's out of the race, but I've seen him and John on the server at the same time, sharing information, you know, taking care of each other, trying to maximize each other's chances on Sunday, but clearly, once again, Oscar has got the short end of the stick, which is too bad. But Grant must have that Dallara handling beautifully because on straight horsepower, obviously, oh my goodness, David almost loses control of the car there, but on straight horsepower, Saber should have an advantage over Grant. But Grant seems to be able to maintain the gap really well between the two of them here as they come through the... Oh my goodness, David Saber spins out just as I'm talking about it! Oh my goodness, he spins again! This is a disaster for David. He had such a good start. He's all the way down to 8th place now. Does a double spin, trying to get on the power, leaving the hairpin. Let's take a look at a replay, see what happens. Yeah, he just got on the power, and it slipped out from underneath him. And then he tried to get it going right way again, and spun it a second time. So that is, oh man, I feel for David. That's really unfortunate. And now he's got Tim Hilla after him here, but that's a very unfortunate chain of events. What do you think? There's too much power applied at that corner?
Yeah, I think the Ferrari is also a car that is a bit more edgy than others. So the slightest error when you're on the gas in those slow hairpins here with basically a low downforce is going to put you very much on the edge of the tire addition and make it easy for you to suffer such an incident. It's a shame because it was going to spice up the race a lot.
Yeah, so now we have the Ridals running 1-2, the gap 3 seconds there. So that puts, it's a favorable situation for the Ridals once again. Grant, again, leading the race. Here he comes through the hairpin. Ray is in second. Here comes Centurami and Nilsson. This is looking to spice up a bit here between those two. Then you have John Team, Schlapinski, and Coxon. Then David Saber is in 8th.
Yeah, and this is something that I think Richard Coxon, I've been watching him a bit. He is watching Cesarius Lapinski. He knows it's a formidable enemy here to have on the track in front. But at the same time, now he has the pressure of having David Saber coming from behind, and it's obvious that David was on the same pace as the top of the race. So it shouldn't take many laps until he is right behind Coxon, trying to overtake. So let's see what happens if Coxon is going to try to make a move from Cesarius and try to postpone the problem of having to deal with. Yeah, there he goes.
All right,
Cesarius didn't make it too hard.
No. Riding on board now with Anders Nilsson. He's following Giovanni Centorami. This is a battle for third place. And Nilsson obviously wants to get around Centorami as quick as he can because he's thinking about not just getting around him, but also handling up Reberdahl because those two are the main people vying for the championship at the moment on the table.
Yes, and remember something that we have said many times. What a driver wants once the race gets started is to settle on his rhythm, because he knows what his rhythm is and that this is what makes the most of his car. So it is a big problem when you have a car right in front of you that is slower, because then you cannot make the most of your car. So you really want to overtake and settle at whatever place you really deserve to be.
Well, Anders had a great run on Centorami as they got to the chicane to finish the lap.
That was clearly not an overtaking spot, but he was trying to make Giovanni nervous right before the Wall of Champions.
Well, it's clear that he's got the power and the handling to handle up Giovanni. He just needs to find the right spot to do it, is what it appears. But he closed in on him very quickly there, coming up to through turns 14, 15. Here's Richard Coxon in 6th place, and he is shadowing John Team. I mentioned that Coxon has not had a lot of good luck lately, and that was mainly from Monaco, both qualifying and the race. He didn't have a lot of fun. And I talked to him before this race, and he's just looking to finish. He wants to get back on the horse, so to speak, and so far he had a good start. He's in 6th right now, good position to be in early in the race, and looks like he's getting close to John Team here and maybe might move up into the top 5.
Yeah, absolutely. He's now probably going to start studying what John Team is doing, where that car is quicker than him and where he is slower.
Yep.
Very characteristic from Richard to be very scientific and very much scientific in his approach.
Here we come through 14-15. He's clearly got a run on him, but not enough to get him at the chicane. You have to back off through here. But, John Team catches a bit of the dirt there, exiting that corner, heading down starting lap number 8. And Coxon clearly has a good car underneath him here. It's just a matter of finding the right place. But John Team's car, that Leighton House, is not a bad car. It's well balanced. The power delivery is very nice from the Ilmore. So it's interesting to see how these two handle up. Coxon, of course, running the engine that McLaren ran in 1990, the V10. McLaren now running the Honda V12. Team struggling just a bit to put down the power out of that corner, but again, to your point, Alberto, this is a very narrow track. There's not a lot of room offline, and it is very difficult to pass here because of that.
Yeah, and Coxon made exactly the same move on John Team that we saw Anders doing some laps before on Giovanni Centorami, which is they are obviously not going to pass there before the last chicane, but they want to let the other driver to know that they are there and that they will be trying to overtake.
Yes.
Because if you are doing that on a driver that is not really paying attention, that is not conscious that you are so close, then you can have a big trouble once you really do make the move.
Oh, well, look at the momentum. Look at the momentum now. Here is Coxon with a full head of steam, comes through the main straight. Is he going to get him under braking here? Yes, he is. Richard Coxon goes up into 5th place. He had that time perfectly, Alberto. He had that time way back in turns 14 and 15. Let's take a look at a replay of this.
And it's exactly the same thing that we said. Yeah, because like Anders, he was trying to make his opponent nervous before that very complicated chicane, and it paid off, as we've seen.
Really did pay off. That was an excellent move. He dropped back a bit from him before the chicane, and then as he went through, he had the room and just built up a head of steam right down that straightaway. Excellent overtake by Richard Coxon.
Meanwhile, there's a really big traffic jam in front of Juha Boss. I can see here several cars, just Bouchard, Brian, Yannick, Ruben Fernandez, and they are all together there.
Yeah, it's rush hour traffic here.
Absolutely.
On Ile Notre Dame, and actually Bouchard's got the two low tie are in front of him there, and then you've got, as you mentioned, Juha Boss running in 13th place.
They're all catching up with Tim Hiller, and at the same time, Nicholas Kirsten is catching up with them. And it's, I mean, when you see this line of cars, you can very clearly see how they are threading through the corners and how narrow this track is and how complicated it is to overtake in any part that is not a hairpin.
Yeah, it is a, oh my goodness,
oh no, you go.
Oh, a huge Wall of Champions crash there. That was Tim Hille, replay upcoming. We're going to look at it from the car of Ruben Fernandez. Coming into that last chicane, oh, he hit the curb on the inside. That's what happened. Tim Hille hit the curb on the inside, and it launched him across the track into the Wall of Champions, out of the race. My goodness. It's one of those...
And right as I mentioned this, Bruno Chacon just made a master overtake right before that chicane on Robin de Vos.
Man.
So it is possible, although there is a big difference between both cars.
My goodness. Well, the low tie are running 9th and 10th now. These are good cars in the hands of Fernandez and Janik. But then you've got Bouchard right behind them. Bouchard hasn't quite been able to extract the performance from this Jordan that he did from... Well, actually, look, he's going up the inside here of Janik. Can he muscle his way past? No. Janik hangs on to the spot. But yeah, this is pretty hairy stuff here between the Lotus of Janik and Bouchard in the Jordan.
Okay, and meanwhile, David Sabre was able to overtake Cesarius Lapinski. But Cesarius is not giving up.
Yeah, Cesarius won't take that line down. But Sabre, his car is in good working order. He just spun it twice, didn't hit anything. If anything, he might have cooked his tires for a second. But it's good to see Sabre. Oh, goodness! He was really slithering through the corner there. And here's Lipinski looking to take advantage, but you really can't this section of the track. He's going to try to... No, he can't really dive down the inside. There's just not enough room in some parts of the track. So it begs the question, is something wrong with the setup on Sabre's car? He looks very skittish in the corners. And he had that problem at the
he probably has... I've seen that David usually likes to drive very stiff cars. He wants something that is very responsive. He has quick reflexes. He can usually handle that, but yeah, on the long run, it can become a handful. It's a bit like the toss of a coin, which decides if in the end things are going well or not, depending on how aggressive you are.
I don't know if that's a smart strategy for this track, because it's one of these tracks that you just have to, like I mentioned, you just have to hustle all the time. There's no place.
But probably he didn't think that he was going to be in this position. I mean, probably it wasn't that bad if he was going to be at the top on clean air. I mean. Mm-hmm. So in the end, even whatever the car is, in the end, it's the driver who must feel comfortable doing what he does. If the car is slow or you have to hustle it around the corners and it's not comfortable, it can be even more tiresome than a skittish car that you can feel that you are quick with.
Meanwhile, Richard Coxon has pulled out a nice cushion between himself and John Team, so he clearly has the faster car at this point. He's showing that by opening up the gap. It's the same at the front. Grant Radal is leading Ray Radal, then Anders Nilsson's in third, Centurami fourth, the car you're watching is in fifth, Richard Coxon, sixth is John Team, seventh is David Sabre, eighth is Cesarius Lipinski, ninth, Ruben Fernandez, and 10th, Brian Janik.
Nice power slide by Ruben Fernandez coming out of that corner. The Lotus, as far as I can remember, is a very nice handling car.
Yeah.
And Ruben and teammate Janik are really making the most of it.
Yeah, Janik, defending himself well against Jules Bouchard, who started in 10th, so he hasn't really lost. He's only down one spot from his grid position, but yeah, the Lotai, they looked really good actually at the U.S. Grand Prix in Phoenix, which was our first round of the year. Didn't quite end the way they wanted it to, but I'm pretty sure that given the right circumstances on a track like Ile Notre Dame, I think they can do well. Fernandez threads his way through the last turn, wall of champions. Everybody makes it through unscathed, but look at Juha Boss. He is right chomping at the back of Bouchard. Won't be able to get through here. Well, I don't know. Bouchard is kind of a sloppy exit of the first turn. Juha's trying to get some purchase on the inside, but and is still hopeful to try to get by, but it's not going to happen here. Juha driving the car that won this race in real life, driven by Nilsson Piquet. A fortunate win for him because of Mansell's problem at the hairpin on the final lap.
Kelly McGee seems to be out of the race now.
Oh, KO's out. Well, that's unfortunate.
Alan Santo also dropped out at some
You know, that's unfortunate too, because Santo, I didn't mention it earlier, but he had a good start, and he was moving his way up the order. He's got a great car in the McLaren Honda. There's no question about it. He just needs to find a way to get to grips with it and extract more from it.
Okay, and so we seem to have been missing a bit of action because Anders is now third in front of Centorano.
Oh, interesting.
So that's your top three right now, both Ritals, Grant, then Rai, then Anders Nilsson.
Well, Centorami looks like he's still in good form, so it looks like he might have made a mistake somewhere. Yeah, a mistake that was back further. So he is now fourth, and Anders is third. Coxon fifth. So the question then also comes up, are there likely to be any tire stops in Canada? The
Whoops, Red Ridal just goes to the grass.
Oh.
He cut the chicane. Yeah, he missed it there.
Well, you don't want to do that too many times. I mean, you've got a limited number of times the game will allow you to do that, regardless of whether, oh yeah, he just goes clear across the grass there, so he's got to be careful. He's likely got a warning from the game saying, hey, you can't do that. But, and that does, that cost him a little bit of time. If we look at the, there's Nilsson coming through.
Yeah, David Sabre has now caught up with John Tim. As we said, his top of the race pace didn't seem to be affected by the incident. And as you would expect, he's now climbing up back. Right behind John Tim
right
there.
Behind him. He was so close I didn't even see him. He was like shadowing Team. So yeah, absolutely. Looking for the right opportunity here.
Look how he now let a bit of cushion between him and John Tim on the hairpin.
Yes.
Hairpin, sorry, on the chicane, because I think he feels a lot of washout there if he gets too close.
Yeah, these cars do experience washout with the high speeds here and the turbulent air off the back of the car. So it's definitely a thing. Maybe not to the degree that you would experience in other forms of racing, like Indy racing, but in this case, yes, definitely. And the problem then becomes one of, if you push hard when you have that understeer from the barrel washout, you heat up your front tires as a result because you're pushing harder, and that's not something you want to do around here. An understeering car would not be very helpful around this track at all.
No, and this brings up again the topic that you were about to cover regarding the pit stops, because that's obviously related to tire wear. From the notes that I have from previous races, we could be expecting here about one pit stop, one single pit stop.
Yeah, I
don't know if someone will be trying to do it without stops, but normally you should be getting one.
Oh, here comes David. He's having a look. Yeah. Wow, that takes a lot of courage. He makes the overtake, but then here comes Team looking again. But that is extremely brave. He made that pass in the most perilous part of the track.
And he's already at Coxon because Coxon wasn't really that far away.
Let's take a look at a replay of this overtake. It's really amazing. Look at this. He sweeps by on the outside, inside. He just, I mean, that takes a lot of courage to do that because of the how narrow the confines are there. Team is still right with Sabre, but Sabre now is fixating his eyes on the Tyrrell in front of him, I'm sure. He wants to get
Robin
back up
DeVos
there.
just had a spin, and Ray Riddle, who was about to lap him, barely missed it.
Oh my
was a
goodness.
lucky one.
Let's have a look here at a replay. Ray Riddle. Oh my goodness, you're right. Robin Davis.
Yeah, but this has helped Anders Nilsson catch up a bit with
that was a very, very fortuitous situation for Ray. That could have gone very poorly. Fortunately, he missed Robin DeVos there. Now they're coming through the front straight, and take a look at the gains that Anders has made. I think this is a combination of just Anders having more speed and the fact that Ray made that mistake at one of the right-left switchbacks on the north side of the island. But in any case, Anders is definitely closing on second place Ray Riddle.
Yannick is also continuing to follow his teammate Ruben Fernandez, and they both came through the chicane very quickly, and you could feel the washout in Yannick's car. He nearly hit the wall there. The wheels on the grass. So it's really very dangerous here, this washout, and you have to watch out.
And you can't afford miscommunication with a back marker here, because that could spell doom very easily.
No, it's clearly, as we said, a very narrow track at some point, so lapping a car or finding in the wrong spots, it's so complicated. Because at the same time you have these huge speeds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have more retirements now. Francisco Amaral and Olsen. So once again, that's both McLarens out of the race very early on. Those two have got to get a handle on those cars because, I mean, goodness, they're just gold. Those two McLaren Hondas. You know, you'd like to think they could get a better result out of them. Maybe they're a bit on the knife edge like the Ferrari, perhaps. I don't know. I haven't driven them. In any case, Nilsson dropping back just a little bit now from Ray, but still maintaining third place. Fourth is Centorami. Fifth, but maybe not for long, is Richard Coxon, because David Sabre is closing at the back of him in the Ferrari, and David really he has a loose back end on that 642. He really, when he puts the power down, that thing wants to swap ends. So he's got his hands full trying to make the car go fast and stay on the tarmac.
Yeah, I think his setup basically favors, because I can see that the car works well, it favors the big high-speed thing. Yeah. But he's suffering when he has to put the power down in the hairpin and very slow sections. It's true that it's only just 2 or 3 parts of the circuit, but he really struggles there. Like here, at the exit of the hairpin, look at that sideways immediately when applying the power.
All right, look at this. Sabre right with him again. Oh, he's got to look at this. He's going to make a go for it right up the inside of Coxon. Does he get it done? Yes, he does.
Yeah, it's
Sabre into fifth place.
It's clearly rigged for speed.
Yeah. And I mentioned that in the opening remarks about the track. Like, if you can set up the car to be really fast in the straights here at the expense of being skittish in the corners. And Sabre, I'm sure, from the start, wanted to make all the use of that V12 power that he could in the Ferrari. And so, I mean, the other strategy is that because you've got all that power, you put more wing in the car and you can defend yourself better in the turns. So it's really down to what you're more comfortable with. In David's case, obviously, he's opting for speed over grip.
It also probably depends on what you're expecting to be during the race, because if you're expecting to be in traffic, you should be having maybe a bit more wing, both to defend and be able to follow the other cars in front. Whereas if you are a quick car there at the top and will want to make 1 or 2 deciding overtaking moves, be able to defend yourself very well on your position and mostly run on clean air with space, maybe you can favor that low wing setup.
Oh, I forgot to mention, the viewers won't be able to see this, but I am refreshing myself today during the broadcast with clearly Canadian sparkling water. I made sure I had some of this race. There's Robin DeVos giving way to 5th and 6th, Sabre and Coxon. It's got a little bit of sugar in it, so it's keeping me up and alert. But yeah, Sabre definitely has firmly ensconced himself in 5th place. So we haven't heard the last from him, although he started 3rd, dropped back to 8th from a double spin at the hairpin. Don't count him out. He's got a powerful car, and as far as we know, it's a good trim, no damage whatsoever.
Meanwhile, Michael Drexler has continued climbing up through the grid.
Yeah, there he is.
He's now right behind Brian Janik, and he was about to overtake him but could not. But it's obviously a case of a quicker car.
Mm-hmm.
But Brian is really defending his position, and we can see what we were talking here about some time ago, that if you want to block a quicker car, you can do so in most of the track. Not everywhere, but you can do it in many parts.
Drexler is driving the car that won the pole in real life at this race, driven by Riccardo Patrese, but he is now looking to get by Janik here, that Renault power, giving him some good speed here. Oh, he actually runs into the back of Janik. Slows them both up, but they're able to continue. Oh no, Janik has now lost a lot of speed, and there he goes by Drexler. Let's take a look at a replay of that, because there was just brief contact there. I don't think enough to cause any damage, but it was just a tap left front of Drexler to the right rear of Janik, and then Janik just lets him go by. What do you make of that?
Well, I think that Janik was logically blocking, because that's his right. He was fighting for position, even if he knows that it's a quicker car. But at some point, when he saw that there is too much lack of synchro between the speeds of both cars and he could get hit and damaged badly, then he decided that it's better, that discretion is the better part of courage, and that he should be letting Michael Drexler by, because otherwise he would be risking a collision due to the speed difference between both cars.
Yeah, I think he probably made the right choice, because Drexler's car is obviously superior in terms of power.
Right, Gran Turismo is signaling pits now. I don't know if this is something that just happened to jump by default due to the way he configured his setup, but it could be that he has been thinking of doing 2 pit stops. That's something that he has been doing in the past. When we were expecting 1 pit stop and the tires could do it, he absolutely hammers the car. He wants to maximize the speed, and he has been doing 2 pit stops if they were quick enough. So this could be maybe the case.
Well, we'll see what happens when he comes around, but the gap that he has is 4.6 seconds between him and Ray Radal. Then it's Anders Nilsson, Giovanni Santarami, David Sabre, Richard Coxon, John Team, Slapinski, Fernandez, and Drexler now in the top 10.
Yeah, he will be coming out for sure behind Ray and very likely behind Anders Nilsson. So let's see how it pans out for him.
There is also the logic that the later stint with the new tires will go longer because you have less fuel load. Mm-hmm. So that might be also what's going on here. Or it could have just snapped on, and he's not going to physically do that. We'll find out very quickly here. And he is.
There he goes, yes.
There he goes. He comes into the pits. Very careful here to get around those tire barriers, but do it quickly.
And it's this is the wet. Okay, I can see that mediums.
Medium tires Bs.
Yes. Yeah. So it's not as if he was playing it on softs.
All right, so that drops. Well, is he going to lose the? Yeah, he's lost the. He's all the way down to 4th now, so that costs him quite a lot in terms of track position. But we'll see if he can make it up with the fresh rubber that he has.
And we know that Ray Radal can make the distance with a single pit stop, sometimes even without it. So this is probably the difference that Grant already was counting with having to later recover.
And now we've got a battle for the lead shaping up here between Anders Nilsson, 2nd, and Ray Radal in 1st.
Well, one thing is for sure, the leader has unveiled his cards. all the other cars know right now what Grant is up to,
Yeah.
so they can make their own choices about it.
Yeah. Ray pulling away on the straight here. He's got 2 more cylinders than Anders. But still, actually, the now that I think about it, the Jordan is the one car out of the whole field that does have an update to the engine that gives it a little bit more horsepower. That's the only real update for Canada, given the car notes from Coxon. So I don't know if that's making a difference for Nilsson here or what, but he's keeping good pace with Ray at the moment.
Yeah, although the differences in the engines are quite small, so I would guess that this is more a thing of the setup in a track so peculiar as this, where low wings really give you much more speed.
Yeah. It's funny, too, because there is a precedent for circuits, street ones usually, where it does not pay to run more wing. If you have long enough straights and you can run quickly, it's better to run low wings, because by the time you get to certain corners of the track, they're slow enough that you don't really suffer as much with the loss of downforce. But there are some turns here that are particularly quick, even though they are very quick switchbacks, and it's not like you can just discount the need for downforce here as an optional thing. You need to have some kind of downforce to get through some of these corners. Coming up now to the lap, I believe Rocha through the last turns. And you can see there how you get through those last 2 turns really does make a difference, because look at how he's pulling on Ray into turn 1 here. It was almost similar to the way that Coxon set up. And here's Rocha getting out of the way, so that's good. He doesn't want to be getting in the way of this battle.
Yeah, Grant just said the fastest lap is, like we said, the strategy is very clear, and it's all out.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So he's got to make bank now where all the sun shines. Anders, meanwhile, is definitely closing. There's only a 0.7 of a second difference between himself and Ray at this point. So Ray's got to be on the ball, and Ray's already made a couple of small errors. He actually exits that corner very slowly. This could be the opportunity Anders is looking for. If not this turn, then maybe in the next few. Downshifting for the hairpin. How good is Ray's purchase going to be coming off the turn? Pretty good. So Anders, it's going to depend on him getting through the 14th, through the last 2 turns, 16 and 17, as fast as he can, and carrying ahead of steam through the main straight. And it looks like he's got that going. Look at this. Well, not as much as I thought, but he is really worrying Ray at this point.
Right, so I think Coxon is going into the pits in this one. I have been watching him struggle a bit with traction in the low speed corners.
Well, he's on those Pirellis too. Don't forget that.
Yeah.
Here he comes into the pits. That might also have played into why Grant stopped, because he's running Pirellis as well.
Yeah, also mediums, by the way.
B's.
Yeah.
All right. So Coxon's going to fall down the order here, but with new rubber, he's going to probably make hay once he gets out of here. He's 9th now, exiting the pit lane in his Tyrrell Honda. And there's
pit stops generally.
There's Janik.
Del Piccolo now overtaking a long-standing battle with Nicolas Kirsten, trying to overtake, not able to. But it's an interesting fight here that they are having behind Jules Bouchard.
Nilsson still trying to worry Rayredal at the front of the field here. They're going to go for another lap here. But Nilsson's dropped back just a slight bit, maybe taking a bit of a breather. Giovanni Centrami is 3rd, and Grant is 4th. So you got the...
Maybe not so much, as Rayredal actually set the quickest lap of the race. So maybe he was like holding back a bit, but he was already tired of having to fend off the situation with Anders. So maybe he just sped up a bit. And we have Juha boss with us, so it seems that he retired also.
Oh, Juha's out of the race. Juha,
I'm becoming a regular fixture in this booth now.
well, what happened?
Engine overheated. It was 104, 105 permanently, and well, couldn't do anything about it.
Well, we're sorry to hear about that. I guess just hustling the car a lot, and the temps just got too high.
Yeah, it was a shame because it was good fun, but oh, God, thought otherwise.
And I see that Nicholas Kirsten has already blown the engine, so...
Oh, well, there goes that battle you were talking about. Shoot,
Yeah,
so Kirsten's out of the race.
Yeah, that must have just happened because I was right behind him when his three-way fight with Bouchard and El Piccolo.
So pit stops are happening intermittently
actually,
here.
it seems he blew his engine and El Piccolo ran into his back, which made him lose his front wing.
Dang. So Del Piccolo's due for the pits. John Team is 6th right now. He's doing a good job defending himself from Schlapinski, who is 7th. We're getting sporadic pit stops here. Different strategies from different people. As, oh my goodness, Schlapinski just has the save of a lifetime by the wall of champions. That car was all the way sideways, and he managed to save it. That was incredible. Let's take a look at a replay of that. He comes out of the turn, and oh my goodness, that was a save. He did he earned his paycheck on that move alone.
So Drexler, meanwhile, overtook Ruben Fernandez, and he's now already 8th.
Yep,
So
Drexler's now 8th.
Here. Opa, there Fernandez.
Well, I don't know that Drexler has scored any points yet for Williams in this championship.
David Sabre out of the track.
No.
I mean, fortunately, he's able to recover, but yeah, suffering a lot there in the slow sections.
Let's look at a replay of this.
I think he was very lucky near the clipper wall there.
Oh man, he at least he touched it maybe at slow speed, but man, that he was lucky to recover that. That 642 of his is very, very skittish in the turns. It's fast.
Grant Ridal has already caught up with his teammate Giovanni Santarame, so this is for 3rd position. And I guess that normally what would happen here is that Grant goes by.
Are there any team orders at the BMS garage?
Well, I don't know, but I guess with regards that they are actually fighting for points for the team too, I don't expect that Santarame would be doing anything outrageous.
Well, Santarame won the last race at Monaco. Frankly, he's had better results over the year than Grant. Maybe not out qualifying, but he's definitely.
I think it's there is some kind of agreement between the both of them that whoever is quickest in the race, clearly quickest, well, he can go by, and then their objective is to score as many points as possible.
And there goes Grant by into 3rd place, overtaking Santarame.
That's a slow-moving Ferrari. I suppose that's a lap 1.
That is Luciano Rocha, who didn't extract as much from the car in qualifying as his teammate did. Luciano, to be fair, has been quicker than the Ferrari, or than his teammate. Not quicker, but has been able to. I think he scored some points early in the season. With he might have been 5th in one race. I'd have to go back and look at the results, but not getting
quickest lap now. Quickest lap now from Anders Nilsson, who seems to be mounting again an attack on right.
Richard Coxon's about to reintegrate the top 10. He's under that Fernandez's rear wing.
Well, Coxon benefiting from brand new Pirellis. Oh, Fernandez ran fairly wide there coming off of the corner. If Coxon plays his cards right here through this really fast section, he might be able to overtake him. Tall order though here. I mean, there's not a lot of room.
He should, because otherwise he's just wasting his time after his pit stop.
Is it going to get him?
Fernandez.
No, not going to get him here.
No.
Fernandez with a huge power slide coming out of that turn.
Well, he's got him.
He's got him now. He's close, but just got to look for the right place to get by. Oh no, he did get by. Sorry, I was looking.
Yeah, he already got by. Yeah,
you're right. You're right.
My
My apologies. I was looking at the replay and missed the actual overtake. But in any case, yeah, Coxon making good use of his new tires. Looking good. So.
Centorame going for pits.
Okay, that's yeah, here he is, and he's putting on C's. That's interesting. Everybody we've seen so far has been putting on B tires, and Centorame's going for C P0s.
I think he stalled it.
Oh no! He's got to restart. He's got to restart the engine.
Yeah.
There he goes. All right. Yeah, she should be able to continue. There he goes. Out of the pits, he's in 8th place now, so that did cost him a lot in terms of time by killing the engine there. But
yeah, this is the first long pit stop that we have actually seen in this race, because remember what happened to Rai in Brazil? That was a very long one that made him lose the race, but normally all have been very, very quick here.
Yeah, absolutely. So Ray is in the lead. Nilsson, let's go back and have a look at that battle, see how close that is. It's still very close between Nilsson. Actually, it's closer.
He's only half a second now.
Yeah, Sabre in the grass again. He's really struggling with that car.
But look at how close Nilsson and Ray Riddall are to each other now.
And Coxon is right behind Centorame now, both having pitted.
Slapiski really charging against John Tim.
Down to the hairpin once again. So these two are right together. It's going to be very interesting to see when they make their pit stop what happens, who gets out in front. Going for another lap now. Heading into turn 1. You're looking at the two top drivers in the championship right now, Anders Nilsson and Ray Riddall. For those of you who may have joined late, looking at the drivers' points, Ray is in the lead with 24, and Nilsson is in second with 22. So very, very much this battle has championship implications. So Ray has recovered really well here. I mean, he had not a very good start and dropped 2 places, but now he's back in the lead. The question is, can he retain that lead once the pit stops are complete? What do you guys think?
No, I don't think he won't be able to, because Grant is going very quick. Well, I can see he's... No, let me see. He's 30... No, actually, it could not maybe the lead, but he could maybe...
There was a rear wing and... at the chicane. Number 21, that's Centorame.
Oops.
Yeah, Centorame has retired.
Centorame out of the race. My goodness.
He just flipped the wall of champions.
Replay. Let me go back here, see if we can see it.
Upton was very lucky there.
It happened at the wall. Yeah, it must have happened at the Wall of Champions, because that's where the... okay, here we go. Oh, we lost both front and rear wings. We're going to run it back here and see if we can catch the actual incident itself, what precipitated it. Because the last accident that happened at Wall Champions was caused by clipping the barrier on the not the barriers, sorry,
Curb.
the curb on the inside. So let's see if that's what happened here. And it looks like that might have been the case.
David Sabre is meanwhile signaling the pits, which will, at least for some laps, put an end to the struggle that he's suffering with his tires, because he's continuously power sliding, going to the grass, and suffering really a lot with his car.
Yeah, David is fast, no question about it. But
And he's fourth. I mean, even despite all the spins and all the problems that he has been having, he's fourth.
well, there has been a bit of there's pit stops to factor in too, and now that Centurami is out of the race, that was curious. When I was watching the replay of Centurami's accident, he didn't seem to clip the curb too much, but for whatever reason, he lost control on the exit of that corner and just hit the wall of champions. So that's one of the Delaras out of the race. The other one is in third at the moment. You're watching Sabre, who is in fourth. Now, is he going to come into pits now?
And I guess
And he
Teams
is.
Lapinski and Coxon will make it through.
Here comes Sabre into the pits for probably what will be his lone tire stop. Let's have a look here at what he is putting on.
Softs.
Soft C's.
It's no wonder that he has been suffering so much, because those tires probably will be suffering a lot more degradation. Ruben Fernandez also.
11 seconds
now.
stop,
Yeah,
so it's not too
I
bad.
mean, no, we're half race, and the remaining cars should be stopping. I think that Dressler also stopped recently.
So Sabre rejoins the race in 7th place, but with brand new Goodyears at C compound soft. So that'll be interesting to see.
Right, Ridal signaling pits, although this time he has went by.
Yeah, he didn't.
Decides to go one more lap.
Ray, who driving arguably the best car in the mod, is holding his own against his championship rival Anders Nilsson, and maybe due in the pits shortly. We'll see. Yeah, he seems to be under control more than he was earlier when he ran over that grass section just there. So he seems like he's got the car in good hands, but he's going to have to stop for tires at some point here. Riding on board now with Anders. Through turns 14 and 15. And is Ray going to go for the pits this time? Yes, he is. And Anders inherits the lead. Ray stops. And what does he have?
Softs.
Softs.
That's very interesting to see that the Williams is able to
C's,
work
yes.
so well.
11
for
seconds.
half of it.
11.7 seconds, I got him. I'll try to time Anders if I catch his stop. Anders now signaling pits.
Yep, that brings Ray Ridal down to 3rd place. He only lost 2 positions in that pit stop. And now Anders is going to be signaling pits.
And that should give the lead back to Grant Ridal, although he is on tires that are already some laps on, whereas his father has fresh tires right now, fresh soft tires.
I think Grant running up Pirelli is likely to go for a 2-stopper.
That'd be
He has
interesting.
done already one.
Sorry?
He's already done
Grant
one
has
stop.
Yeah, that's
Grant
why.
has already done his second right now.
Oh, he's already done his second, you mean? Or...
I think so, yes.
I don't remember him going in a second time.
Yeah.
I will check it as lap times in a few seconds.
All right,
Once,
and Nilsson enters pit lane. Let's see what he goes with. And he is going with C's, softs.
Here comes Grant to retake the lead. There he goes. There
Grant
goes
takes the
Prix.
lead, and Anders Nilsson is going to lose second
15
place.
seconds. 15
Yeah,
seconds.
this has been clearly much slower than Rai.
Yeah.
This has punished him a lot.
So Anders comes out in third. Ray is back up to second place. Ślepinski now is fourth in the minority, but I don't believe he's pitted yet.
So it's 7 seconds between Grant and Rai, 7 point something, and still, well, about 30 laps to go. So the question is, what will happen from now on? I don't think that, well, for sure, Rai is not going into the pits
Grant
anymore.
has only stopped once, and I was on lap 24, so I'm pretty sure we
okay.
could expect another stop from him.
Okay, yeah, in that case, absolutely.
Yeah, I hadn't thought that he had stopped twice. I thought it was pretty clear he just stopped once. But in any case, he probably either will have to...
Cesarius has not stopped, I'll confirm that.
Yeah, Cesarius has not stopped yet. Waiting on him to bring his black and yellow...
Brian Janik is in the pits also now.
Okay. But, yeah, I think the X factor here that we have to pay attention to are the Pirelli tires versus the Goodyears. Grant is on Pirellis, and his dad, Ray, is on Goodyears. Nilsson's on Goodyears. Ślepinski is on Goodyears. Coxon is the next one on Pirellis in fifth. And he's made a stop later than Grant did. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see whether Grant just chooses to manage his tires or goes for another stop.
He just did the quickest lap of the race, by the way. Although the problem is that the tires might work well, but then all of a sudden drop off a cliff.
Yeah, that's the nature of the Pirellis. If those of you who aren't aware, not in the series, the Pirellis tend to be very tackier. That's a bad way to say it. They tend to have more grip. That's better. Early on, but then they do fall off a cliff. And that could prove perilous to Grant's chances to win. So we'll have to keep a close eye on that and see how he manages his Pirellis. He was one of the first people to stop. I think he was actually the first one to stop in lap 22, which is...
Coxon is already by Cesarius, and given that Cesarius has not made pit stop, if Juha can confirm that,
He hasn't. I checked a few minutes ago.
Okay, then in that case, I don't think that Coxon will need to do another pit stop. Or, well, he did. Let me know. He did one, but it was a very weird one because it wasn't like the typical two-stop strategy. But
Right.
it was quite early before half race. So I don't know what he's going to do.
Cesarius is now showing pits on his board. He's got the wrench icon. So they should see Coxon jump to fourth place here.
Grant is now suffering behind Brian Janik. It's impossible to pass here. Brian, is he letting him? Well, he's letting him, but he's not willing to lose any time, of course.
Yeah, you try to let someone
There
by
you
but
go.
not lose any time. Here comes Ślepinski into the pits now. We will have a look and see what he puts on the car. He is going for C's, softs.
So Coxon is fourth now.
Coxon goes into fourth. Ślepinski actually lost two positions there. Saber's by. He's
Yeah,
in
and
sixth.
Saber.
So there he goes. Back onto the track in sixth place.
Whoa, and John Tim coming hot right behind him.
Yeah, he
I mean,
is.
he barely missed it.
All right, so most of the top drivers have completed their stops, and I think all of them, in fact, have, except is Saber. Saber stopped as well. Yes, he did. So we'll see what happens here now as we are closing in now on the final, not the final stages of the race, but getting close to it. Everybody has, in theory, made their one stop. We don't know if anyone's planning to make second stops. And those would probably be Pirelli drivers, as I believe that's Del Piccolo making room. No, it's DeVos making room for Ślepinski. Saber now in fifth. Fourth is Richard Coxon. Nilsson third. Ray Riddall is in second, and Grant is in first. So the gap between Grant and Ray Riddall is 5.5 seconds, roughly.
Yeah, I was about to point out that myself. It's indeed. Whoa! They're nearly missing. It seems that those Pirellis are starting to take a toll.
Okay, well, that's going to play definitely into the outcome of this race. The question is, does Grant try to manage those tires as best he can, or does he go for the pits and get the softest Pirellis he can, and then go for just go for broke to catch his dad? I don't know. Right now, it's a tough choice because the gap seems to be solid at the moment. He made a slight error going through the hairpin there, but I don't know. It's the only one who really knows is the guy who's in the cockpit right now, whether he can handle these Pirellis until the end of the race. But this is going to really kick the if the drivers finish in the order that they are right now, with Ray in second and Nilsson in third, it's just going to continue this very tight battle at the top of the points chart, which is great for us. Exciting stuff as far as the points go. Speaking of points charts, I just finished reading James Hunt Against All Odds, and that's a very, very, very good retelling of the 1976 F1 World Championship, which was a battle royale between Hunt and Lauda, and a lot of that plays out on the points chart. But really harrowing read if anybody wants to read about that particular point in F1 history. So Grant continuing here, and the gap actually is opening up a little bit. It's now 6 seconds. So I don't know that he's having any issue with those tires at all. May just be that he ran into a bunch of cars to lap and slowed him down.
But with nearly 30 laps to go, I don't think that Grant is going to be able to make it without another pit stop.
We'll see. That's the drama of the moment. How far can he go with those? And then Anders Nilsson's in third here. Not making a huge...
Ruben Fernandez spinning there. He's in the middle of the track. Quite dangerous situation here.
Oh, goodness.
Coming out of a very blind corner. Fortunately, it seems that nobody was close to him, so he was able to spin back again and continue.
He had a kind of a sloppy exit of turn one, and then just power went on. I think he was in the gray a bit much there, and was fortunately able to get it righted without getting in anyone's way, so off he goes.
Oops, and Anders in the grass slightly coming out of the corner.
Yeah, Anders had a slight issue there. Let's see it again here in the replay.
Oh man, David is also still
part of that
fighting that car.
Part of that was that he was trying to lap Peter Hlavic, and there was a bit of a miscommunication there. Thankfully, nobody got in any contact, so that could have turned out way worse. And there's Hlavic making room for him, so he had to check up all of a sudden behind Hlavic and made a slight error. So that's what precipitated that dust up a little bit. Gap is about the same, 6 seconds now. So it's not changing much, but we got to keep an eye on that gap and see what happens here. The drivers are all pretty ensconced in where they are. There's not too much direct competition right now, so maybe it's time to do the trivia question before things get close to the end here. Okay.
Yep.
All right, so the trivia question was, sorry, I got to pull up the right folder here. The infamous Wall of Champions has seen many world champions crash out of the Canadian Grand Prix. What year did the wall see Damon Hill, Michael Schumacher, and Jacques Villeneuve all crash out the same race? Is it A, 1998, B, 1999, or is it C, the year 2000?
I'll go with 1998.
Yeah.
So I would go with the same one, but since I want to give you the chance to use the wrong button, I will pick 1999.
Well, actually, if you're picking 99, guess what? You win. That's the right answer.
Nice. So the wrong button is for Juha.
Juha gets the wrong buttons.
I think it was a success by Juha actually, because he made me choose 99.
Yeah, it is. He inadvertently made you choose the right one. All right, back to the race. So the gap is, it's about at the same point. It's not changing, so leave that alone for a moment. Go back further in the field, see if we can find some kind of battle here. Things are pretty static at the front. Drexler. Bouchard is in 10th. 11th Fernandez, 12th. Rocha, 13th. Del Piccolo in the... Peter by himself in the footwork. Bruno Chacon by himself. Robin DeVos by himself. And then you get into the DNFs. So it's pretty spread out actually right now. I wish there was a little bit more competition going on, but what are you going to do? Janik 9th here. He's letting Nilsson by, I believe. Yeah. Yes. And Drexler here, he's 8th at the moment. It looked like he might be able to pick up a few points in this race, but now he's down to 8th again. So he's really going to depend on somebody making a mistake at the front here. Yeah, I think Saber, you know, given the situations he had earlier in the race, it's amazing he's still 5th in this car. And he didn't let the mistakes compound it, the situation. He just kept going. And Coxon must be very happy that he's having a points-paying race so far, given all the bad luck he had at Monaco. So he'll be happy where he is for the time being. Nilsson and Ray, that's the one that's has championship implications. And Nilsson doesn't seem to be making much of an impression on Ray at this point.
I guess the main question here is if Grant will be stopping for a second time or not.
Yeah, basically that's the gap would suggest no so far. But like you said, these Pirellis have a tendency to drop off a cliff. And if that's the case, then
well, the funny thing here is that because it's obvious that both Grant and Rai know what strategy the other one is doing. Grant, if he knows that if he knows that Grant is not going to stop, shouldn't be on any hurry. Because why would he try to push the car and risk an accident if he knows that just by keeping that gap, he's going to get the first position quick?
Yeah, that's true.
So that's what, in my opinion, hints at the fact that actually Grant is going to stop for a second time. Because I think there is more speed in that Williams.
You think he's driving with a little bit in hand then?
Well, at least he's not going like absolutely at the limit. He doesn't seem to be like needing to do
Grant
that.
signaling pits.
Ah, there you go.
What?
Grant is signaling pits.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's interesting. Because the gap is only dropped by a little bit, but apparently he wants new Pirellis. So, all right. So now we're already getting into the situation we described. He's going to make another stop here and then try to catch the time back up. So he's slowing him down a little bit now. It's 4.7 seconds. The gap to Nilsson is 12 seconds. So clearly he's going to drop to third. He won't drop to fourth because Coxon is 52 seconds behind. So he's gonna at least be in the top three when he exits the pits, assuming that nothing goes wrong. But then he's going to have to really charge if he wants to get back up with his dad for the end of the race. I suppose if you're going to make that choice, the time is now.
And interestingly enough, right now, the gap had already dropped to 4.5, and I don't think he's driving any slower. I think that Rai, knowing what is going to happen, is speeding up, because his fight is now with Anders Nilsson. So he has been like holding back there, and now he wants to put a bit more distance between Anders and
He's got B's. B tires.
Quick stop, 9.26.
That's fabulous.
All right, well, there goes Grant, and as forecast, he has dropped to third place. So now he's going to have to absolutely go after it, hammer and tong here in the final laps. We have 21 laps to go in the Canadian Grand Prix. And
he's about 20-something seconds, 21 seconds behind the leader.
so he's got...
So 1 second per lap, I think that this is quite a tolerable.
Well, we'll see. He's going to have
Maybe
to really...
he catches up with Anders. Maybe he could be fighting for second. We will see.
All right. We'll see what happens. Maybe first is a bit too much to hope for.
Yeah, and very much as I had said, Rai had been doing 121.7, 121.7, 121.7, 121.7, and then all of a sudden 121 dead, right as Grant enters the pits. So it's clear that he knows he has open track. He is the leader. He wants to win the race, and he just wants to be safe from Anders. So he increased the gap to 7 seconds. As I said, the Williams had more in it. That was somehow clear to me. And let's see what the response from Anders is now.
Well, I don't know that he really can respond. The car that he's driving handles beautifully. It's one of the better handling cars in the mod, I would think. Wilkes is probably shaking his head somewhere, disagreeing with me. But in any case, on straight power, he's got a disadvantage to Ray. Ray's got the V10 Renault, and Nilsson's got the Ford HP, which is lightweight and small, but not quite the same power plant that the Williams has. Yeah, Grant now has got a bit of a problem because he's got lots of cars that he has to overtake here in lap. This is what he did not want coming out of the pits. He didn't want this situation because this is just going to ruin the opportunity he has Janik moving out of the way very sportingly, but it's he's got to make quick work of all these lapped cars, because otherwise he's going to be wasting the opportunity he has on these softer Pirellis.
Yeah, fortunately for him, there is no threat from Richard Coxon.
Yeah, Coxon's too far back to be.
Yeah, but still he's fighting against the clock, basically.
Yeah, he's playing a game of beat the clock. The gap from him to second place is 10 seconds now. So, and he's coming up to Bruno Chacon now, who I'm sure will give him the space he needs. But every time he encounters a back marker, it's just it adds a little bit more time to his lap. But he's clearly pushing the car for all he can right now. Grant's not in the top 5. I don't know how many points he's scored in the championship, if any. But he's had instances where he's been very, very quick, and then something happens. So I'm sure he's like similar to Coxon, really wanting to score a good result today. Grant's a guy who just, again, I've said before, he has 2 settings on and off. But I don't think he's going to do something stupid and throw away a podium finish here.
Yeah, all the while speaking about the top 5, despite all the dramas and the issues that he has been having, David Sabre is now a solid 5th, at least for now.
Yes.
He has a gap of 13 seconds over Cesarius Lapinski, and I hope that he can manage to keep those tires under control and not overdrive them. It should be easier for him now that there is way less fuel in the tank.
Yes, that is true. The car should be handling better at this point than it was
but at least the consolation of some points would be very much welcome.
Yeah, I mean, Sabre started 3rd, was in 2nd place at one point, and surely that would have been, he would have wanted more to come out of this drive, but it unfortunately made a mistake at the hairpin, spun the car twice trying to get going again, and that's where he lost the time that he did. But even so, he's back in the top 5. He didn't let it get him flustered. He didn't compound the situation. He had a few close calls after that, but nothing approaching the problem that he had at the hairpin, which cost him oodles of time. So, I don't know. This really bodes well, I think, for the rest of the year for Sabre, because if his car is this quick and he's that good, there's his teammate being a good teammate, letting him by. If he's that quick in this car, if he can steel himself against certain, proclivities the car has, like to be a bit skittish, he could have some good finishes and possibly a win.
And yeah, unless I'm wrong, I think that we have now some tracks that are actually very quick, power tracks coming.
Yes. Yeah,
so I think that's
tracks
Hockenheim, Magny-Cours, right? Magny-Cours,
Yes.
Hockenheim.
Both power tracks. So I think, there's definitely some situations, and then Monza, obviously, later on in the series. So there are situations that will definitely benefit and Sabre and be good for this car.
Bit of a skittish moment there
Yeah,
too for
there you go.
Anders.
There's another one. Yeah, you just these cars, when you have the low downforce.
Ah, damn it. Rai just hit Gabriele Del Piccolo in the rear when trying
Oh
to
my
lap him.
goodness!
He was probably surprised by the braking point.
Let's have a look at a replay here. From inside Ray Riddall's car, what happened here? This
He's
is not
very
what he-
lucky that he did not lose the wing.
Oh my goodness, he ran clear into the back of it was the right rear was where the contact occurred. Was it just a case of the closure rate surprised him? Looks like it. He just now Del Piccolo might have suspension damage there. I don't know, but it looks like Ray basically center punched Del Piccolo's right rear tire. So I doubt Ray has much damage to his car, but man, that sure woke him up. I'm sure of that.
Yeah, I think probably Del Piccolo is going slower than normal due to damage in the car from the previous collision with his
True.
teammate.
Yeah.
And since the car is apparently normal, Rai wasn't expecting it to maybe brake so early.
Well, it looks as if Ray has been able to deal with that situation without any damage. He pretty much, like I said, he pretty much center punched the tire. So his nose might be scuffed a bit, but it doesn't look like he lost any. Doesn't look like he damaged the suspension.
And Luciano Rocha seems to have blown the engine.
Oh,
so that's the other
no.
Ferrari out.
Yep, there he is. Yes, Rocha's pulled off the track. He was running in 12th place, or probably a little higher, but now, and that was a 6th place gain from where he started, but he is now out of the race. Unfortunate for him in Jean Alesi's Ferrari.
The incident with Del Piccolo has cost dearly to Rai Riddall because his gap is now only 3 seconds.
Yeah, I noticed that. I was just about to point that out before Rocha had his incident here. Rocha's like, maybe Rocha thinks he'll just stay there and just watch the rest of the race. But in any case, the battle at the front has changed complexion because it is now a 3-second gap or a 2.5-second gap between Nilsson and Ray, and you can directly attribute that to the incident with the LaRousse that he had just a bit ago. Now he's coming up to his teammate, who I'm sure will be well aware of what's going on here.
In any case, it seems that Rai is about 0.2 of a second quicker than Anders in the previous lap. And even if Anders can do 21 dead, I think that the realistic distance difference between both of them is about 0.1, 0.2 of a second. So even if Rai is playing it conservatively, I don't think that there is speed in Anders' car to be able to catch up with Williams, not to mention try to overtake it. Force an error, well, that could be something very different.
Yep. All right, so the gap is actually holding it steady at about 2 seconds now, or 2.5 between Nilsson and Ray. I think that incident will have woken Ray up and kept him alert, and he's going to probably just redouble his efforts now to stay ahead of Nilsson.
Yeah, the problem now for Rai is that 2 seconds gap is probably too slow if he has an incident with a lap car, as the situation with the Piccolo just demonstrated. I mean,
Yes.
hadn't he had that big cushion, he would have lost the lead. So this is a mistake that can't happen twice.
Nilsson is now clear of Drexler and has a free run to Ray. So, yeah, you're right. Any cushion that he had to protect himself if something goes wrong is now gone. And if he makes any kind of error or has any kind of miscommunication with any kind of a car, it's going to directly impact whether he wins the race or not. Grant, the gap, okay, this is interesting. The gap between Grant and second place has not come down. It's still 10 seconds. So despite going into the pits for those new tires, Grant's really not making much of an impression so far on second place Anders Nilsson. He may have been better to stay out there and just soldier on the where the Pirellis and see if he could have made it. That might have been the better gamble. I don't know. Because he certainly isn't making an impression at this moment. And the gap is increasing now. It's up to 3 seconds. So Ray has responded. He's put
he's
together.
Probably very much aware of that he needs a bit more room.
Yeah, he's building up the cushion a little bit more, and that gives credence to what we were thinking about earlier in the race, that he's driving with a little bit in hand. When you have a car that's as superior as the Williams FW14 with that Renault power plant, you can afford to drive with a little bit in hand, and then if you need to, you can drive it a bit harder and open up the gap. And it is actually really open. Well, it's 3 seconds now. For a second it was up higher, but you can still see Anders there in the background, but definitely looks like Ray can respond easily to any challenge that Anders puts up to him at this point. So
yeah, in any normal track or bigger track, we probably would be looking at something more static towards the end, but the narrow nature of this circuit and the problems with lapping cars and that means that this will be really a struggle for Rai until the end of the race. He will not be comfortable at all.
yeah. Do you think
He's
there's
looking
any
at a very nice victory and he could easily lose it.
Is it true that, if, we've talked about it with other series where if you have to drive with, you have to conserve the drive and drive a little slower than you want, the car is actually more dangerous than it is at higher speed? Do you think that's the case with the cars in this mod?
I don't know. It's hard to tell because the cars change so much when they have the full tank of fuel, and now that it's hard to tell. I mean, this is not something that the drivers are experiencing continuously over every stint, as happens when you refuel, and they take account of it. But something gradual over the race, so the setup here is complicated in that regard.
Yeah.
But one thing is for sure, at least from me as a driver perspective, and that's one of the things that marks really the difference between the really great drivers and the only very quick ones, and that's you need to be very focused and have many capabilities if you want to be able to switch the pace, switch the rhythm, not lose concentration and have problems. Because normally everyone is happy with a certain speed, and if you try to go quicker or go slower, you don't really feel comfortable and you are more prone to make errors. So that's something that is very complicated to manage, to go not as quick as you think that you could, not in the pace that you are comfortable because you have to conserve the tires or whatever.
Well, we found one battle on the circuit that's getting close, or closer. Drexler is beginning to close on John Team. This will be a battle for 7th place. Not a points-paying position, but a top 10 position nevertheless. We haven't seen a lot of Team during the race. We saw Drexler making his way into the top 10 earlier. Actually was in the points for a second, but that was probably due to pit stops more than anything else. And now he's in 8th place, so he's looking to catch John Team here. As I've said before, the Leighton House is a good car. Well balanced, and the power delivery from that Ilmore V10 is very good.
Let's see what is up next for Rai Ridal. He's coming to a lap car, which I think is... I mean, there is still some way to go, but that's his next objective.
11 laps to go now in the Canadian Grand Prix. Yeah, Drexler getting closer and closer to John here, so he's very aware that if he can get one more spot here and something happens at the front, like an engine failure or something, that he could be in the points.
Oh, wow. Wait a moment. There's David Sabre now closing up on Richard Coxon. That's unexpected. I mean, that happened slowly.
Yeah,
but all of a sudden, there he is, like 1 point something seconds behind.
Maybe Coxon made a mistake of some kind.
I don't know. I've seen...
Could be the...
Oop, pop, 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 pop.
Oh, man.
Oh, he nearly lost it there.
Yeah,
My
he did.
goodness. That was scary.
Maybe the Pirellis are giving up on his Tyrrell. Who knows?
Yeah, remember we said he made a very early pit stop for a 2 pit stop strategy that was too late. For a 1 pit stop strategy, it was too early, and it seems that this is now the issue here. The tires have given up the ghost with 9 laps to go. Well, because he has been following for some time Gabriel Del Piccolo, which is a lapped car at this point, but he hasn't been able to close or really like go and overtake. So he's being very slow, and he's falling into the clutches of David Sabre.
Well, we'll have to watch this very closely here, see what happens. But I think it's the tires more than anything. I don't think it's Coxon's driving. I think it's the tires.
No. It's the tires, clearly. I mean, they've been there from lap 30, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, he won't be able to defend against David, who has much fresher tires and obviously a much more powerful car.
Through turns 14, 15. Oh man, look at the closure rate. Might be able to take him here. No, he decides not to. Says that's not the best place to do that. I would tend to agree.
Yeah, and David has learned the lesson of the washout at that corner already, and he knows that he is much quicker. There is nothing else except empty field after Richard, so he needs to take it calmly here and make the move when the proper situation appears.
Up on the curb a bit there, watch out for that. They got a lapped car in front of them here, which is Del Piccolo.
Slightly quicker for Anders Nilsson right now, and the gap is under 3 seconds again, but this has been due to Rai Ridal coming to lap the car that was the Minardi from Cesarius. He has done that so successfully, so I guess the gap will now increase a bit again.
Into the hairpin once again. Oh, a little bit of a skittish moment for David there. See if he's able to close up on him here through 14, 15.
And this is a perfect storm for Richard Coxon because he's coming
that.
to lap a car.
Oh, look at that.
And at the same time trying to defend.
There's David on the inside. Oh, backs out of it at the last minute. Oh my goodness. Very, very...
Well, that would have been really risky. I think he was just trying to scare Coxon into making an error in this game.
But David Sabre here, not letting the previous problems he had weigh him down. He's living life on the edge here. Oh no, he's made a slight error. He's run through the grass. Didn't hit anything, but that's going to cost him a lot of time. He had a similar problem earlier in the race.
Coxon has found a lap car in the worst possible spot.
Not in a good spot.
Yeah, okay, but now Gabriele moved, and the problem is now for Richard, David Sabre.
Yep. Yeah,
Look at that. I mean,
it's really strange to me, guys. Grant, the gap is now 30 seconds, so it's tripled since he came out of the pits with those new Pirellis. I find that just very strange that he would go in, get fresh rubber, come out, and now he's just dropping backwards. I really I don't get
No,
this.
I think that in this case, probably what happens is that Grant has made up the maths. He has realized that there is not a lot that he can do, and if he has been having one or two hairy situations, he just calls it a day and stays there. It's the thing is that this is not very characteristic from Grant. You would expect him to push so as to benefit from any error that happens in front of him, but maybe that's just that he is fed up of having abandonments and he wants to collect the points and a nice podium for a start.
It may be. That makes a lot of sense now that I think about it. The gap, it's still 3 seconds, and sometimes accordions down to 2.5. But Nilsson, I think basically you have a situation of Ray Riddall controlling the battle from the front. If he sees Nilsson,
right. So back to Coxon and Saber. Saber has dispensed with El Piccolo and is now closing in again on Coxon. Only that this time there is only 6 laps left.
Yeah, I know. We're running out of time here. If he wants to make any impression on Cox.
And if you guys remember, in the more recent years, there was an epic defense by Fernando Alonso with Renault back when he was in his championship year against Michael Schumacher.
Yeah.
In the Ferrari, and it was, if I remember correctly, at this very same track, which shows how complicated it can be to overtake here.
Look at Saber close. He gets through the Wall of Champions area okay. Downshifting now for first 2 turns. A little bit of curb there, but I think Saber might have one more shot at Coxon before this race is over. I'm sure Coxon is also thinking about the fact that he had a bad outing at Monaco and he doesn't want to end the race in an accident. So if he gets pressured by Saber, I don't know, he might be willing to give way, but we'll see what happens here in short order. Honda V10 versus Ferrari V12. Here comes David. No, he actually wasn't looking up the inside, but he's definitely closing. No question about it.
Traction out of the corner is not the best in the Ferrari.
No, not
but
at all.
He's going to fly by now, if he can.
If he can set him up properly. And it looks like he will. Yeah. Oh, there's contact! Contact between the two, and Saber gets through. Now, that looked very incidental to me. There's a car against the wall. We don't know who it is.
Fernandez.
It's Ruben Fernandez, my goodness. So, all right. But let's look at a replay of that.
Yeah, Coxon was in the middle of the track blocking it, so that David had to make a very risky move if he wanted to get by, and that's exactly what David did.
Well, let's see what happened. Yeah, Coxon was in the middle of the track, taking a defensive posture, and Saber just muscled his way by on the inside. Oh my goodness, that was very, very scary right there. And and then of course coming out of the turn and finding a car against the wall. But Saber now safely into 4th place in his recovery drive in the Ferrari. The Tifosi will be very happy about that. Fernandez out of the race, having had an accident at the Wall of Champions. We've had several accidents at the Wall of Champions in this race. All right, so we are now on lap 65, so we have about 5 laps to go in the race. And it looks like David should be able to keep that 4th place as long as he doesn't let the back end get out from underneath him. He's got the power to stay ahead of that Tyrrell Honda V10. But Coxon is not giving up. He's still driving very quickly. So Grant in 3rd. Nilsson. Now the gap is 4 seconds. So it looks like looks like this one is pretty much done and dusted unless someone makes a huge mistake. And I can hear everybody on the YouTube chat. Commentators curse, commentators curse. They can all go climb a tree. So in terms of the championship, this will give Ray a little bit more breathing room, but not much.
It's interesting how David Sarra was able to close up so quickly, and there was that very huge difference in power when overtaking, but now he can't like shake off Coxon.
Yeah.
It's going to be 3 very miserable laps for David because he knows that he's prone to making errors due to the setup of the car. So he will for sure not be comfortable at all.
No, I mean, Coxon's going to make it as uncomfortable for him as he can.
It's his position to lose at this point, not
Yeah.
Coxon.
All right, so we're in the closing laps here. When Ridal comes by this time, it'll be 2 laps to go. Exits the final corner. He's on his penultimate lap now. Another great drive from Ray in this car, especially considering the fact that he had a slow start. Didn't get away from the... he didn't get away from his pole position the way he would have liked, but didn't let it concern him. And here he is back at the front in his Williams Renault. And hopefully he's going to avoid the fate of Nigel Mansell in 1 lap here. We're talking, Juha, about the actual finish of this race in 1991, where for whatever reason Mansell stopped at the hairpin on lap 69.
The wave at the sequel.
Well, that's one theory. There's other theories. People said that he let the revs drop too low and the hydraulic pressure died, let the engine die. There's other people that say a problem occurred with the automatic gearbox, the semi-automatic gearbox. So it depends on who you talk to. It depends.
Look at Coxon, he's not giving up at all.
No, he's not. Look at him. Oh, he's right with Saber right now. Oh, my goodness. He might actually take the position back. Coming in.
Oh, yeah, there he goes.
Right by. Look at that. Coxon takes back 4th place.
There.
Fantastic.
He took advantage of something we have seen him do before. He's very masterful at that. At timing perfectly how to pass through the chicane so that you don't get the washout, but at the same time you slingshot past the other car there.
All right, so we are now in the final lap of the race. Ray Ridal leading in the Williams Renault by 2.5 seconds, and then you go back there's Anders. So he just needs to take it around the track one more time, and he's got that victory. And Anders, maximizing the points that he can get from this race, stays in the championship hunt. That's the way it looks like it's going to finish. 3rd, Grant making a very sober judgment, I think, that he wasn't going to be able to catch these guys. Tire strategy didn't pan out the way he wanted, but at least he's getting points and he's finishing, which is more than he can say for previous races. Look at Coxon pull away now. Coxon's pulling away from David Saber in 4th place. So I don't know what happened there, but suddenly maybe Saber made a mistake a little further back we didn't see, but in any case, here comes Ray Ridal. Through turns 14 and 15, he's just got to do the Wall of Champions section one more time without incident. There he goes through. And with back markers in the front, there they go. Ray Ridal has won the Canadian Grand Prix. A fantastic result. And Nilsson is right there with him in 2nd place. So the championship leaders finish in 1-2. Grant Ridal finishes in 3rd. He's actually got a little ways to go. Oh, there's lots of smoke here.
Brian Janik.
Janik made a slight error there. But in any case, here comes Grant. He's going to take 3rd place. Coxon finishes in 4th. I believe the race is over for him as well.
I'm not sure because he was not lapped.
No, he wasn't lapped, so that means they still got to come around. So here's Grant coming around to take the flag. Just has to get through this. Yeah, he's not even fast pedaling it. He wants to just be very, very gentle through the last turn. And there he takes third place. Great result for Grant. Probably would have wanted a couple more places, but it's a long season. I'm sure he'll find a way to extract that from the Dallara before the season's over. Here comes Coxon, who, in a brilliant move, gets fourth place back. That was pretty impressive. And now here he comes through in the Tyrrell Honda to take fourth place. In reality, this car was in second in the actual race to Nelson Piquet. Here comes Saber, fifth place, and I believe he probably, he was actually, he might have already crossed the line, but it looked like he was going to be lapped by, in any case, here he comes again. Now he's going to take the flag in fifth place. So a great recovery drive from Saber, considering what happened to him earlier in the race. So 2 points for the Ferrari team, 2 points for David Saber. And Cesarius Slipinski comes home in sixth with 1 point for the Minardi team, who have been doing quite better, frankly, than I think most of us would have thought. Seventh is Drexler, just out of the points. Eighth, John Team. Ninth, Jules Bouchard. 10th, Brian Janik. 11th, Gabriel Del Piccolo, who is still on the track. 12th, Peter Hlavich. 13th, Bruno Chacon, your teammate, Juha, coming into the pits now. He's going to finish in 13th. 14th, Ruben Fernandez. 15th, Robin DeVos. 16th, Rocha. 17th, Centurami. 18th, Kirsten. 19th, Juha, that's you. 20th, Salvatore Signorano. He actually finished higher, 5 positions higher than he started. Francisco Amaral in 21st. 22nd, Mike Olson. 23rd, K.O. McKeels. 24th, Tim Hill. 25th, Alan Santo in the first car out of the race, which unfortunately has happened before in this series. Oscar Team in the Leighton House was the first retirement early on in the race. So that was the Canadian Grand Prix. Thoughts, gentlemen?
I think that the most important thing now is not to underestimate what Rai Rital just did, because to win a championship, you need to do basically 2 things, and that's, if you have a winning car, win in the tracks that you're supposed to win, like the case here, and then score the best that you can in the other tracks, because that's what slowly gains you all the points that you need. Canada was a track that favors a lot the Williams, and he really had to do the best here, and he did. He won. So that's the same as in San Marino, and that's the trend that he needs to keep. Score everywhere, and of course, never fail where you're supposed to do the utmost and save the day in all the others.
What about you, Juha? What do you think?
Well, I agree with that. I mean, Ray did a great job here, and well, it's like Alberto says here with a championship. Just make sure you get the points, and if you can't win, at least get as close as possible. But well, he opened up the gap even more today, so I think he's doing a good job.
All right, well, a very interesting contest, no question about it. We thank our competitors, and we thank you on YouTube for watching. Let's remind you of what's coming up at ISO. Next week, it's another round for the British Touring Cars, this time at Snetterton. It's the DHL International Race Day, round 5 of 13. The race will start, the first one will start at 2000 CEST. David Miller might have a stream coming from his cockpit, and it's hard to believe we're talking about it already, but Indianapolis 500 time trials are coming up faster than you think. They're going to be Sunday, May 5th. It's officially qualification for round 3 of the Lucas Vito Trophy, but this is the big event for the year for us. And I was talking to Alberto earlier, Juha. Sometimes our viewership for the qualifying day exceeds the viewership for the race itself.
That's far more exciting to watch.
Well, it's an exciting, dramatic spectacle. So, anyway, so that's what's coming up. I want to thank everybody for watching. I want to thank also Alberto for his help in the booth today. Very helpful. Expert analysis. Thank you, Juha, for dropping in to help out as well. Next race for this series, it's going to be a while, actually. It won't be for another month or two. But we'll definitely be back with another race from this 91 series. So for Alberto and Juha, this is Jason White saying so long from Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal. Take care and be safe.